Maizato, and welcome to In Taiwan We Speak, your audio guide to Taiwan's mind-blowing linguistic diversity. I am Alexander Shin, and today in Taiwan we speak Sakizaya, the language of the Sakizaya people. They are an indigenous nation of just 1,000 people who come from the Hualien County in Taiwan's east coast. And I am joined today by Mulihay Talus, a Sakizaya activist, language revitalisation worker, as well as my colleague from the public indigenous radio station, Alian 96.3 FM. On her radio program, Mulihay often calls herself the daughter of the Sakizaya people. She is in fact the daughter of Talus Takas, a prominent Sakizaya activist who dedicated his life to fighting for the official recognition of his people as an indigenous nation. Mulihay, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hi, nice to meet you. Maizato, wawanu Sakizaya, nganganu makuji Mulihay Talus. 我是来自花莲萨奇拉雅族的穆利海达鲁斯小茉莉。
Thank you, Xiao Muli.
Yes.
I should also mention, dear listeners, that today we'll be chatting with our guests in both English and Mandarin Chinese, but don't worry, we will provide translation for Mandarin. So, Mulihay.
Yes.
You're representing the Sakizaya Nation. We've never had anyone from Sakizaya Nation on this program. So I would like you to please introduce this nation to us. Who are the Sakizaya people? Where is their homeland? And why did the world know so little about them before 2007?
我们萨奇萨族呢，其实在2007年的1月17号的时候，成为我们台湾原住民的第13族。
We, the Sakizaya people, became the 13th officially recognized indigenous tribe of Taiwan on January 17th, 2007. Many people might find it strange that this 13th tribe even exists. Before 1878, the Sakizaya were a strong community inhabiting the Chilai plain of Hualien. But after the Qing army came to Taiwan and began to rule, they plundered our land due to their so-called campaign of opening up the mountains and pacifying the savages. It culminated in the Battle of Takubuwan, also known in historical records as Jialiwan Incident. Why did the Jialiwan Incident or the Takubuwan Battle occur? Due to the Qing army's expansion, many indigenous peoples could no longer live in their original lands and had to migrate. The Kavalan people migrated from Ilan southwards to Hualien. Exhausted and with nowhere else to settle, they asked the Sakizaya for refuge. Our chief at the time allowed them to live in Jialiwan, modern-day Xincheng township of Hualien. But because the Qing army continued to plunder our lands, they began to harass the Kavalan women as they tried to continue their migration, searching for refuge. Kavalan men then asked our chief for help to resist the Qing army. As the brotherly people of Kavalan, we, the Sakizaya, helped them. But this brought big trouble upon us. As a result, both the Sakizaya and the Kavalan people were gone overnight. How could such an event happen? When the Qing army attacked us, our villages had the so-called age-grade social structure, similar to that of the Amis people, where men would undergo military training according to their age. We had a strong tribal army, and our village had two entrances, one on the land and one through water, accessible only by diving. Since the Qing soldiers couldn't swim, they could only enter by land. We had watchtowers, and when intruders were spotted, our guard would immediately resist them, successfully defending our village time and again. But one day, the so-called Mokka or papaya tribesmen brought the Qing leaders high into the mountains overlooking our tribes to investigate the area from above. The thing is, every 5 years after passing the age grade assessment, our tribe would plant a ring of thorn bamboo around our village for defense. This bamboo was thick with sharp hooks on each point, making it impossible for the Qing army to pass. But the Qing leaders noticed all the dry bamboo leaves around our village and ingeniously suggested using fire. They attached flaming arrows to their bows and shot them on our village. and that attack forced us to perish in flames almost immediately. We died by fire, but we were reborn by fire. After years of sacrifice and effort, including people giving their last to raise awareness of our tribe's history, we finally regained our name on January 17, 2007. We became Taiwan's 13th officially recognized indigenous tribe. This is how our story goes.
所以呢，就有所谓2007年的1月17号成为我们台湾原住民的第13族。这是整个的一个过程。
So you've mentioned the movement of Sakizaya people for recognition, and your father, Talus Takas, has contributed directly towards this achievement, right?
其实这个活动一开始会有人会想要说要把这件事情给这个找出我们自己的名字，其实是有一个人，他叫做迪外塞运。
It should be said that this movement started with a man named Tireless, a primary school principal and an educator from Hualien. He attended every important event in our community, be it weddings or funerals. He would go and listen to people's accents, trying to research if they were Sakizaya. After identifying about 5 or 6 people as Sakizaya, he secretly revealed his plan to them. These individuals were intellectuals or social elites, and together they formed the Sakizaya Reconstruction Association, with a leader chosen to head the organization. That leader was my father, Talus Takas. Once he became chairman, my father employed various strategies to raise awareness of the Sakizaya. To fund the reconstruction, we sold CDs during our first Fire God Festival. My father paid for the CD production, with lyrics written by him and sung by my sister. The CD contained 3 songs: The Call of Sakizaya, Sakizaya Shines, and The Dance of the Wind. Proceeds from selling the CDs were used as a fund for the Sakizaya reconstruction. Our family fully supported my father's efforts, but unfortunately, just 18 days before we officially became Taiwan's 13th indigenous tribe on January 17, 2007, my father passed away from a heart attack. It was a tremendous loss for us. The success in quickly organizing the association was due to 3 key factors. First, my father led the reconstruction in the northern part of Hualien, which is a long, narrow strip of land. Secondly, in the central part of Hualien, a teacher named Xu Chengwan, who was a Sakizaya language teacher, helped spread our language even though we couldn't openly speak it at the time. Lastly, the youth also played a crucial role. My father, as chairman of the Reconstruction Association, united these 3 forces, creating a powerful movement. I remember that around May 2006, when the decision was made to pursue official recognition, my father held informational meetings in many villages. He encouraged everyone to come together to reclaim our name. Each person brought a bucket of water from their home to a large water tank in the schoolyard of Zhonghua Elementary School in Hualien City, close to our home. These symbolize our unity and the reawakening of our Sakizaya identity. We wanted to show everyone that we were not a part of the Amis tribe, as it was believed before, but Sakizaya. However, there's another important point. Why did we stop speaking our language? After the Takubuwan battle, we had 5 villages, each with a leader. The most important village leader was Kumupazek and his wife Itsep Kanasau. During the Takubuwan battle, Kumupazek gathered the leaders and instructed them to do the following. To preserve our people's lives, when the rooster crowed for the 3rd time, they were to flee wherever there was light. But he and his wife remained as hostages to distract the Qing army. The Qing army feared that neighboring tribes might protect us, so they gathered people from nearby tribes like the Amis and forced them to witness the brutal execution of Kumupazek and Itsep Kanasau. The Qing soldiers tied Kumupazek to a tree and slowly cut his flesh piece by piece until he died, and his wife was crushed under a tree trunk, killed on the spot. The Qing army threatened that anyone hiding Sakizaya people would face the same fate. Despite the fear, the Amis did protect us, hiding our elders and saving our people. We are deeply grateful to the Amis people for their courage in not handing us over to the Qing army and allowing our tribe to survive and eventually re-emerge as the great Sakizaya people.
所以我们的族人，我们的长辈、长者可以生存下来，好，所以才能够有现在的 Sakizaya 族。
So recently I had the opportunity to attend a musical show called Sakizaya Palamal, Fire God Festival. Despite not understanding the Sakizaya language, I could sense the mood of the performance change from cheerful to solemn to tragic to hopeful. What is Fire God Festival? What is the history behind it? And why do Sakizaya people today consider it important to celebrate it?
好，谈到了这个火神祭，我们刚刚也说过，我们 Sakizaya 族是因火而亡。
As I mentioned earlier, the Sakizaya people were destroyed by fire when the Qing soldiers shot flaming arrows into our village, causing our downfall in one night. The Fire God Festival, or Palamal, is unique among Taiwan's 16 indigenous people groups and is our way of remembering that attack. Before the Takubuwan battle in 1878, the Sakizaya were a powerful group living on the Chilai plains of Hualien with our own farms, mines, and fisheries. We were self-sufficient, but the war tore us apart, leaving many of us dead and the survivors scattered. The Fire God Festival became the force that brought us back together. In 2006, around the 15th day of the month of July, we held the first Fire God Festival. As I mentioned earlier, we sold CDs with our music to raise funds, even though we had not yet achieved official recognition. The festival was our way to unite our hearts. During the first festival, we created a flower coffin, a two-tiered coffin made from bamboo and straw to house the souls of our ancestors who died in the Battle of Takubuwan. We also appointed 5 messengers, each dressed in red, green, blue, white, and black traditional clothing. Carrying torches, they led the spirits of our ancestors back into the village. On that day, we all wore our traditional clothes and held torches in our hands. We walked around the entire site of what was once a battlefield, and we called the names of our deceased family members and our ancestors. Once we went around in a circle, we brought the spirits of our ancestors back and put them into the flower coffins. Then we lit them with fire so that our ancestors' souls could return to peace. The Fire God Festival, or Palamal, is of great significance to the Sakizaya people. It marks our cultural revival and the reaffirmation of our identity. It serves as a reminder that our bloodline and heritage cannot be erased. This festival has strengthened our community, helping those who once feared revealing their Sakizaya identity after the war could proudly reclaim it. The Fire God Festival symbolizes our rebirth. Just as we perished in fire, we were reborn through it. It is a powerful declaration of our survival and pride in being Sakizaya that empowers us to confidently express our culture, language, and identity. It's an important event that demonstrates that our people have come back from fire. This is the symbol of our revival as a people.
我们已经不再担心别人会因为我们 Sakizaya 人去对我们有任何的伤害，就这样。这就是火神祭。
Such a meaningful ritual to commemorate, to memorialize the ancestors once fallen, and the current history of Sakizaya people after the recognition, going ahead as a nation of its own. Thank you so much, Mulihay, for sharing. With that, we've run towards the end of our airtime for today, but of course, we do not end our chat with Mulihay Talus here. Join us next week as we continue our conversation about the Sakizaya people and their language. Thank you, Mulihay, and thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Oleg, and see you next week.